Hey everybody, it's Doug here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new shorter playthrough of the second edition of Pathfinder, the adventure card game. Now, I actually own all the other ones. I got Skull and Shackles, Rise of the Rune Lord, and the one with the mummies, and I can't remember what the other one's called. I'm trying to see them on the shelf. Anyway, I played them. I haven't played through every one of them. Oh, Wrath of the Righteous, that's the one. I haven't played through them all to their end, but I've played, portions of the way through all of them. It's hard to get people together to continue to play them. You could do it solo, I suppose, but I was trying to do it with groups of people, and so it kind of never came to complete fruition, but I do enjoy them. And as I understand it, this second edition cleaned up some things. So I was going to film this earlier, and again, pardon me for the lack of content lately. I've just, life been getting in the way. But I started setting this up, and then I realized, wow, it is a bit different than the original game. There's some significant differences. So I'm going to run through real quickly the setup and the story. Now, there will be spoilers in this, so be forewarned. And we're going to play a two-player game. I'm going to play with two characters. I'm going to play with Sione, who is a sorceress, and I already have her deck set up, and we'll talk about what that is. But basically, there's a certain set of cards. Now, as you level up, you can expand the types of cards that you can have, but this is her starting deck. And because we're playing the introductory scenario that has been decided for her, it was in the book. Now, later on, we can start to enhance and change the deck. And the other one, character we're going to play is Sajan. He's like a monk-type character. And he's got some powers, and we'll talk about those as we play, and we'll look at, again, his deck is set up and ready to go for him. Then, of course, we have our Blessings deck like the original game, but what's in this one that's different, one of the things I'll tell you is different, is the Blessings actually have an impact on the game itself, so that they actually can do something during the turn, where before they really were just a timer unless there were blessings that were in your hands. And in this short story, we're only going to have 3 locations. We're going to be playing on the short version of the game, which means we built the decks according to... now I'm assuming that you have a little bit of familiarity with the Pathfinder Adventure Card game, so I'm not really going into deep explanation about this, but we built the deck based on the short game. And these are the decks for those different locations here. In this story, we're going to start in the caravan, and we're going to talk about what that looks like. But basically, also, a couple recommendations. It only comes with a very small set of dice. I highly recommend you go dig in your old D&D boxes or whatever other games you have and get some dice, because you're going to need them. Now, I don't see any call for a 20-sided dice, but it was in there, so I had it out. But, a couple D12s would help. I noticed I need some more D10s, but these are the dice that come with the game, basically. And there's oftentimes you're rolling more than one of these, so it's better to have some extra dice around. With that being said, we're going to talk about the storybook, because that's really one of the big changes that takes place here. Is there's a story that you read the first part of the story, and then you read what happens in the aftermath, and it can start to alter the outcome. You can make some decisions, etc. It's not really, I wouldn't call it a legacy style game, but it's just a story-driven version of this great card game. And you can see we have 3 locations. We have the caravan, the campsite, and the trail in this introductory mission, and we're going to be playing through those. Each of them has a special thing that it does. For example, the campsite says, at this location, at the end of your turn, you may heal a card. So if you're just there at the end of the turn, you can heal a card. Remember, your cards in this game, like the first series of games in this, are your health, your hit points. So you have to be careful of running out. And it says too close or to guard. It says choose 3 different types of boons, then recharge, or to close or to guard. We can guard this place or close it. You know how that works. It's similar. It's slightly different and more streamlined, but it's the same thing as in the old group where you had to close the location, narrow it down so you could get the villain. And in these various decks, I have placed a villain and 2 proxies. The proxies are going to be the dire wolves in this case, and they just get set aside. So there's a proxy card, but there's different villains. And then we have a story bane, which is this rescue card that will come out throughout the story. But let's talk about the storybook real quick, and then we'll get into gameplay. Again, one of the big changes is the storybook. Now, spoiler alert! Right now, if you don't want to read any of this, don't do it. I'm going to read it to you. So, this storybook starts with this is the adventure path called The Dragon's Demand, and we're going to be playing what was basically the tutorial scenario that gets you set up to continue to play. And basically, it says The Dragon's Demand is a short adventure path designed for starting characters. If you only have the core set, you can play the Dragon's Demand with 1 to 4 players. To play with 5 or 6 characters, you will need to either add characters and appropriate boons from an Adventure Path box, or add 1 class or character deck for each additional player. See Build the Vault on the next page. Well, we've already gone through that. I'm not going to read through the rules, but we will read the storyline. And it says, to start, read the following aloud. Oh, for the glory days of the Taldan Empire. The noble realms once stretched from the edge of Casmeron all the way across Avistan to the shores of the Arcadian Ocean. Now Avistan is beset with the sniping of rival city-states, the chaos of Galt, the rigid rule of Chilix, the burgeoning democracy of Andoran. Today you have a teeny role in the vast web that holds these sundered lands together. Commerce. Caravan Master Silas Gribb has gifted you with low-paying work guarding a convoy across the Verduran Forest, a land of wildwood druids, of capricious fae, and of marauding kobold bandits. Truly, there is enough of import to keep your attention keen while the wagons roll on. The caravan's path takes you deep into the Verduran Fork region towards the town of Belhaim. Founded a millennia ago in honor of the mercenary commander Lady Tula Belhaim, after a cruel black dragon named Ateparax slew her parents, Lady Tula formed a company of dragon slayers and eventually dispatched the baleful worm in the Dragon Fence Swamp. For this grand service, she was bequeathed land upon which her namesake town stands. It seems unlikely that you will ever challenge something as mighty as a dragon in your day. For now, you will remain vigilant for any danger that dares come your way, but if a dragon comes, the dragon slayers you shall be. And it says, complete this adventure in order. So this first adventure is going to be Welcome to Belhaim. And we built the vault, we did all that, and the first one we're going to be playing is the Rumbling Road. You know, there's a star there. That's basically like I said, the introductory scenario. Now we're going to talk about that as well right now. It says, read the following aloud. Silas Gribb might not be the best of bosses. The Caravan Master is the kind of man who says, don't worry, you'll get your money, before you ever considered that you might not. He doesn't believe in work breaks for people or heroes, and the concept of overloaded carriage is as foreign to him as the dark side of the Galorian moon. Get to work, you goblin dogs, he calls out for all to hear, then returns to doing nothing of the kind. You continue your watch over his caravan as it turns toward the campsite of Old Belhaim Road, mindful of the brigands that haunt these woods. Whatever treasure this caravan is laden with, they will not escape on your shift. This is the kind of work you hope to leave behind in the coming months and years. The life of an adventurer is painted as glorious by the bards and skalds, but for you, it's been crickets and camp rations. Someday, perhaps soon, you will learn what excitement is. Fair Belhaim ahead, cries the watchcaller. Though you cannot see anything that alerts you of the town's presence. Look yonder, she says. You can see the faint pinprick of the witch tower. Sure enough, with the spyglass in hand, you can make out the mournful black tower on a small hillock. An estate is not too far from the tower. Blocked partly from your sight by the spire, this, you surmise, likely causes some consternation for the owner of the manor thereupon. Why is it called Thoom? Your question is lost, and amid the echo of a mighty explosion, as the base of the witch tower erupts in fire. There's horrible creaking sound, as if the structure itself regretfully is giving up on life. Then the tower collapses with a thundering delivery into a massive heap. Your first sighting of the witch tower is anyone's last. All of those around you gasp at this calamity, but 2 other sounds catch your attention. The first is the whinnying of the caravan horses, who buck and scatter in a manner that tips over 3 of the most overladen wagons. The second is the mighty rumbling from the river, as a pack of snarling wolves pounces directly onto your capsized caravan. Dire wolves, shouts the caravan's watchcaller. If you are not swift in dispatching these critters, you will not have a caravan to guard. Okay, we've done the setup, and it says, during your scenario, instead of your first exploration on your turn, you may heal D4 cards. That's going to be important to us. And then if we complete this, we'll read this development, or when we hit this rescue story danger thing, we might hear. I don't remember when you read that, but it will tell us what to do and when as we go along. So there's also a bunch of stuff in the rules, like there's a bunch of things that we need to remember in the rule book that we're going to be using, the different references. There's all kinds of different things you can do. There's also some cards in there, but in this scenario you only break out a very specific pack of cards. The gameplay is roughly the same or almost identical to the original game, where you have a couple things you can do. The one thing you can do that I don't recall, I don't think it's the same, is immediately hand over a card to somebody at the beginning of your turn. But basically, we're going to run through that in the form of gameplay. So you'll see how all of this works as we go. So the first thing we're going to do is get our characters ready, and we'll start to take our turns. Let's get Sejan's hand dealt out to him. We'll take a look and see what that looks like. You know, we've just been beset by wolves at the caravan, and we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do. Now we have to close these sites. We have to kill the dire wolves and find the bandit leader. That's what we have to do. So that's what we're going to do, and let's get that done now. Okay, here is Sejan. Now, first off, you say, well, what kind of hand does he have? Well, we know right here. Sejan has a hand of 5 cards, so we're going to take those out. Now, he also has a favored item, so we have to look and see what that is. It says, let's just see, whatever, Sejan's scours. Anyway, his favored card is a blessing. So basically what that means is if in my first 5 hand card draw, if I don't get a blessing, I'm going to discard those and draw again. But once I've found that blessing, we have a full hand, I will, if I have to discard, we'll shuffle them right back in at the beginning. Anyway, I'm just doing a quick shuffle. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to put his deck right there, and then his discards. Well, I'll actually do it the other way around. Deck, discards, hand. Okay, here's what he's got. He's got a dog slicer, so he's got a weapon. That's good. He's got a blessing, so we'll be keeping this hand. And we'll talk about what all these do as we go along. But he's got a couple things. A luck stone. And basically, these numbers don't matter. Once it's in your hand, it's the powers that matter and the things that they do. So, like, this is a weapon that we can use to fight with, which we'll probably need to do, though we haven't encountered a critter yet in the deck. We're going to have to explore the deck and figure that out. Now let's go to Sione and do the same thing, but let's first quickly talk about his powers. It says, for your combat check, you may recharge a card to use acrobatics or melee plus 1d6. And we can experience that up to get 1d10 and add the magic trait. Plus the card's level and add the bludgeoning and melee traits. So we can do a few things there, but remember, this is the cards, like that would be the card's level. Most of the cards we have are zeros. When you play a blessing on your check, you may recharge it instead of discarding it. Recharging is important. It means you put it back on the bottom of your deck. And it says when you suffer combat damage, reduce it by 1. That's one of his abilities, so we have to remember that because I'm meant to look at this every time we do something. There's a lot of different things on the cards that we have to do. And over here we have Sione, so this is her deck right here. She's got a hand size of 6. Now, the problem with having a bigger hand size, it means you burn through your hit points faster, which makes sense because she's a sorcerer. However, I think she gets a lot of abilities to recharge, like spells and things like that. So, now, her favored card are spells. So, as long as we draw a spell in the first 5, or her first 6 cards, we will be able to keep the hand. If not, we'll have to give it back. But very likely, look, we got an ally. Ooh, no spells. Well, see, there you go. We got no spells. So we're going to have to discard that and draw again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like I said, though, it really doesn't matter. We're going to shuffle those cards back in. Okay, there's a spell. So we have a spell. 3 spells and 3. That's weird. I know I shuffled that. But anyway, what we have in front of us are 3 blessing cards and 3 spells. It's not too terribly bad for her, though it would be nice for her to get some defenses and things like that. And that is her starting hand of powers and abilities. Now, we're gonna take a look at her powers too. I just wanted to shuffle those cards back into the deck. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at what she's got. So, proficiencies, she is proficient in arcane. So when it says, a card says, if you're proficient in arcane, like these spell cards do, allows us to recharge them instead of banish them or get rid of them, because other people aren't as good at casting spells. So, like if, for example, a fighter had a spell card, he's actually reading it off a scroll, that's why you banish him. It says, powers. For your combat check, you may discard a card, and we can enhance that or recharge a spell to use arcane plus 2d4 card level. So what's arcane? It's right here. You can see that our charisma is d12, and arcane charisma is plus 2, so it'd be d12 plus 2. That's our arcane. And then we get to add 2d4 plus the card's level. So all of our spells are 0, so it's not a big deal. And it says, on your check to recharge arcane spells, you automatically succeed. And then there's some enhancements to that. But that's all that matters for that right now. And that is our hands. We're set up and ready to go. We're first going to run with Sajan. And the first thing that he's going to do, now you get one free explorer basically. He can also hand over a card. He's not going to do that. But let's take a look at the things that he can do. So at this point, the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to turn over, this deck right here is our Blessings deck, and we're going to turn over the first card of the Blessings deck because this is our timer. Now, this scenario, we have approximately 12 turns to complete the mission that we're on. So the first thing that happens in any turn is we turn this over, and you can see that we have a Blessing. This is a benefaction. It doesn't really do anything, but we look here to see what it does during a turn when it's in the timer deck or the hourglass. It says when this is the hour, no effect. So first card, nothing happens. He doesn't get to do anything with that. Doesn't have any bonus or effect on his turn. Then it says, now you can give a card to another character. That's something we could do right now. We're not going to do that. You can move to another location. We're not going to do that either. You can explore the top card of your location. Or you may close location if you meet the requirements, or you can end a turn. So that's pretty simple and straightforward. There's a lot of other things that are going to happen during the turn, but that's the basics. So since we're here at the campsite, let's take a look at that. It says at this location, at the start of your turn, each character may move. So we can move, but we're not going to. To close or guard, we have to do this, which is either succeed at a Wisdom or Perception 5 plus the adventure level, so it's going to be 1, so it'll be 6. Check or summon and defeat a danger. Well, we can do that too. So there's a couple ways to close this down. This is when closed. After you move, you may give a card to a local character. So there's a couple things we can do there when it closes, etc. But we're not going to do that. We're first going to, I'm going to give this another quick shuffle, but we're first going to draw a card from this location. So we're going to explore the campsite, the caravan rather. We're in the caravan. So we're going to explore the caravan and see what happens. Let's go. Oh, a Glorious Warhammer. Well, that's pretty good. We're going to want that, I think. We need to make a strength melee check of 10. Let's see how Sajan does with a melee check like that. Well, he does have a blessing that he can spend to enhance this, but let's take a look at what he is going to do. So his strength melee is +1, so it's going to be a D8 +1. You can see, so that's not quite enough to get a 10. Well, he'd fail automatically unless we do spend a blessing. I think we'll do that because this is a pretty good weapon. It's a level 1 weapon. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend that, and that's going to give us another D8 into the roll. Right. So right now we have a D8 plus or 2D8 +1. That's pretty good for getting us to a check on this. That's pretty good. But let's see what the powers on this blessing are, just in case it makes it better for us. On a check that involves acid, cold, no, we're okay. We're not going to worry about that. This is a Divine Arcane Blessing incantation. So we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to do this test. So we have 2 dice. We're going to get +1 for melees. Let's just check his powers again to make sure. We don't need to turn it into an acrobatics check. When you play a blessing on your check, you may recharge it instead of discarding it. We're definitely going to recharge it. But let's first make the roll, see if we can get the Glorious Warhammer. Well, that's an 8 and a 9. Oh, we just missed it. Oh, that's too bad because that means it is kaput and out of the game. There goes the Glorious Warhammer. Goodbye, Glorious Warhammer. And then we will do what it says, and we will recharge. Please go on the bottom of your deck, that card. Now, that's why you don't continue to shuffle until you've drained your deck out. Anyway, that he doesn't have anything else that would allow him to explore. I don't think. I'm looking. Don't think so. He doesn't have anything to re-roll or nope, that's it. So we're going to end his turn right there. And with that, we're going to draw up to his full complement of cards. So we're going to draw one more card, and that is going to be another blessing. That is good for him. Well, we thought we could get that hammer, but we didn't. We failed. Now let's move over to Sione and see what she's going to do. First things first is we're going to draw her blessing. Now remember, we're down to 10 turns already, and we've only drawn 2 cards. Okay, there's something that's going to happen with this card when we draw it. It says, when you would discard a boon to bless a strength or constitution check, you may recharge it instead. Okay, we're going to leave that right there, and we're going to try and remember that as we go through her turn. Not likely, because she doesn't do a lot of strength checks. Once again, she is here at the caravan. We're not going to move. We're not going to do any of that. Oh, wait, after you move, yeah, we're not going to do anything that you could do there. That's all there is. Yeah, that just helps us move. So we're going to draw, we're going to shuffle, give this one quick shuffle, just to make sure it is shuffled. There's not a lot of cards in these decks, so we're going to be okay with these limited turns. Now, I can use blessings to take another, see, it says discard to explore, so we can do that as well. She's got 3, so maybe she'll get to explore more than once. Magic Chain Shirt. Okay, so what we have, we're getting items. What we have to do is we have to make a Constitution or Fortitude check, 7. She does not have that. Her Constitution is currently a D6, so we're not too far off of that, right? Let's see. However, it's a Strength Constitution check. So let's take a look at this. On a check, discard to bless. Okay, so on a Strength check, Constitution check, freely discard to bless, discard to explore. Okay, well actually that doesn't matter. I'm sorry. I should be looking at this. When you would discard a boon to bless a Strength or Constitution check, you can recharge it. Okay, that's fantastic. So let's see. We're going to do one of these. Let's see. On a local check, discard to bless. If the hour level is 0, you may recharge it instead. So we're going to get to recharge it anyway. I think we'll just take this one. Unless the other ones do something specifically with strength, I'm looking. They do not. So we're going to do that. That's going to give us another D6 toward that. That's going to give us 2D6 to try and get a 7 or better, and that's it. We're just going to do a straight up roll. That's going to be it. Hopefully we get it. 5 and 5, 10. She was able to acquire this chain shirt that goes into her hand. Very good, Sione. Now, we are going to then recharge this. Not only can we recharge it based on the power of this, but based on the power of the current hour. Okay, now, we are going to do that again. Now, how do we do this next? Now, as I said, if it's a strength or constitution check, but we also maybe be able to, no, we're going to discard this to explore. So we're going to put that right there. Maybe we'll get lucky and be able to do something else with it. But she does have a chain shirt in her hand now. So her hand looks like this. We got 3 spells. We haven't had to fight anything yet. Maybe we won't in the caravan. Well, there is a dire wolf there. We do know that, but we'll see what comes up next. Okay, let's draw her next exploration. So we discarded a card to do that. And it says life drain, so we got a spell. This is fantastic. Okay, so we need to do an intelligence, arcane, or wisdom divine check, right? So let's take a look at Sione again on that. That's going to be an easy one for her because we have an arcane. Let's see, arcane intelligence check. So it's intelligence arcane. All right, but we do have arcane. It's charisma +2, so it's going to be a D12. Booyah. And we need to get a 7. It's a D12 +2 to get the spell for her. And I think, do we burn a last blessing or do we keep it to be able to explore? I'm not sure. We could just do a D12 +2 and hope for the best. Life drain, though, that's a level 1 spell. All we have is level 0 spells. Is there anything else that we can do? Can't we do something as part of this scenario? Let's take a look. Like, I think, it's for healing, right? You can always choose to heal, I believe. Yeah, instead of your first exploration, on your turn, you may choose to heal. We're not going to worry about that. Question is, do I want to get 3 explorations in right now? I think we're not. We'll use this to get this card because I want that spell. So we're going to put that in our discard pile. This is going to be an arcane blessing, right? So let's just see. On your check to recharge an arcane spell. No, that's not going to help. Nope, that's not going to help either. Okay, so we're going to then get 2d12. That should lock it down for us, right? Let's do that and roll. See what we get. Make sure it's in camera. We'll do that right there. 7 exactly. Woo! But we had +2, so that's going to be a 9. That goes into her hand now as well. However, that stops her from being able to draw any additional cards. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to draw. We're going to end her turn there. We're going to draw one more card. Another spell. She is spell laden right now. That is awesome. Her next turn, hopefully she gets some fighting in. So this is what she looks like right now. She did get this spell. It says on your turn, banish to heal a local character a card and remove a scourge from them. Well, we're not worried about that, but it's during recovery, if proficient, which we are because we're proficient in arcane, then we can recharge. You may succeed at an arcane check of 11, but we also know that if from her special ability, on your check to recharge an arcane spell, you automatically succeed. So we know she can always recharge her cards. But let's go back to Sejan now. It's going to be his turn as he continues to further explore the caravan. Right now we've been rifling through stuff trying to find useful items because we know we're being beset upon by creatures. So the next thing we're going to do is advance the hour. That means we're going to have Abadar's Law. And it says here, when this is the hour on your check to close or guard, add a d4. Well, it'd be a great time to get the henchman out because we would get to add a d4 to our attempt to close this after we defeat a henchman. Let's see what we get in his exploration card. It is a porcupine, which is an ally. So we need to do a wisdom, fortitude, or survival check of 5. Let's see what Sejan can do there. As he's rifling through the caravans, it tipped over, and what spilled out was a little trained porcupine. But we need to do a wisdom, fortitude, or survival check. Do we have any of those? We have a fortitude constitution check. We do have that. It's going to be a d6 plus 2. That's not bad. Wisdom, we don't have... Yeah, we have wisdom. Wisdom's a d8, but I think a d6 plus 2 is better. And we do not have survival. So I think we're going to do a d6 plus 2. We're not going to enhance it at all. The porcupine is not really that great, but we can use him to explore again if we get him. So we're going to roll a d6 and add 2 to it. A 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Because we did a fortitude constitution plus 2, which we could do here. Fortitude. So that's going to be a 7, which means we're going to get to add this to our hand. Now, we cannot keep this card unless we spend another card as we go. But we're going to, because we're going to spend this blessing to... Actually, no, we're going to spend the porcupine. Let's see what the porcupine does, actually. On a local check against an animal or monster, we're going to discard him to explore. So we discarded him to explore the campsite again, or the caravan site rather. We're getting down to just a few cards there already, so we're doing pretty good. Oh, the henchman proxy. What does that mean? Well, our henchman, we know, is this dire wolf. So we're going to put that there. Now remember, we are going to be able to close this location when we kill the dire wolf. We'll be able to do what it says to close it. Now, whenever you kill a henchman, you get the opportunity to close the location in most scenarios. I believe in this one you can, so I'm just going to double check that. But we have to defeat the wolf regardless. So let's see if we can do that. Interestingly enough, the porcupine would have been helpful. On a local check against an animal or monster, recharge to add 1d8. We could have done that, but we didn't. However, we are going to fight him. So what are we going to do against this guy? We're going to do a combat check. So with combat, he can use melee strength, which he has, of +1, because this one sword, melee, slashing, etc. Melee, we got that right there. Yeah, it's going to be a d8 +1. Let's see. As for your combat check, reveal this to use your strength, acrobatics, or melee, which we will do, plus 1d6. If proficient, you may add an additional... You may additionally discard to add another d6. So right now, we're going to do a d8 and a d6 for playing the dog slicer against him. And let's see, what else? If any d6 rolled on this check shows a 1, count it as a 6. That's pretty good. Then discard the weapon. So if we have to do that, we will discard the weapon. But we're going to attack him with this. Now that's not all we're going to do, because that's not enough to get us to a 12. Right now we're looking at these 2 dice plus 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend this blessing. It says, on a local check, discard to bless. If the hour's level is 0, you may recharge this instead. Well, it is. So we're going to discard that, but we're going to end up recharging it, right? And going after this guy. So we're going to add another d8. Do I have another d8? I do. We're adding another d8. Now we're starting to cook with gas on this one. Let me think about this for a minute, because we might be leaving ourselves in an awkward position for closing the location. Let's see. To close... either succeed at a wisdom perception 5, so it'll be 6, or summon and defeat the danger. So I think if we defeat this guy, we get to close it. I'm going to double check that. So yeah, I don't. We're going to have to summon and defeat the danger, which is the rescue, right? And I think we can do that relatively easy as well. Now remember, other players can play a blessing or something, but we don't have any others. She just has spells. I'm going to have to look and see if maybe any of Sione's spells will help. I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyway, let's do this. Now, I do have to remember that we're going to recharge this blessing as well that we used, but we're going to try and get a 12 or better. We got these dice plus 2. Let's see what we get. A 5. Oh, clearly, easily defeated the wolf. Okay. So we're not going to take any damage. We killed him. So we got combat or survival. Type monster, dire wolf. Cannot be evaded. Damage is increased by 1d4. So we have killed the henchman. Now we have the opportunity to close it, because whenever you do fight the henchman, that's the way it used to be. I'm trying to see, this is the challenge of taking on some new rule sets, because you want to make sure that you're not combining the rules from the old rules and mixing up your brain. So I'm going to just double check that again, but I think to close it we're going to have to summon and do the story bane. So we killed the dire wolf that was there fighting us. This card gets recharged. We do have a couple things left. We have an elixir of healing, a luck stone, which we can play to add 1 to a roll by recharging it, and we have a weapon. So I don't think we need a weapon, we just need to do a check on this. And we're not bad at that check. It's not a terrible check. So let's see. Let me think about this for just a moment longer, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is a non-closing henchman. We just had to defeat the wolves, but it doesn't give us the ability to see. It's supposed to say closing on it, and it does not say that anywhere, nor does it say it on the proxy card. So we can't actually close the location. So that means that we are going to end Sajan's turn. Let's go back to this character. Okay, so we're not actually, it says after you move, you may give a card to a local character. We're not going to do that. We didn't move at the beginning, so we can't move now. What we're going to do then is end his turn. We're going to draw back up to 5 cards. So we're going to draw 2 more cards from his hand. We've got a prayer and a benefaction. So we got 2 blessings coming up there, and that is it. Okay, that's going to be the end of his turn. Just want to double check and make sure I thought through that right. Let's go back to Sione. Oh wait, I got 2. Let's see. We did not do anything with this. If you are proficient, you may additionally discard. No. If on a d6 check, count the weapon. I think we are. I'm trying to remember what we do with this weapon, because there's some different rules on this. We are proficient with it, so for a combat check, you reveal. Yeah. If proficient, you may add. Okay, it says reveal. So we revealed it for that combat check. That's all we did. So I actually drew 1 too many cards. I'm going to put it back because we would have had 5. This one's still in there. We just revealed it from his hand. And I'll just leave it like that. Okay. So yeah, we know his next card's going to be a blessing, but that's okay. All right, let's go back to Sione now. Okay, I'm tempted to get her to another location. Maybe we move her now because we've got to get things done. And on the road, we're 3 cards in on a 12 card draw. We're about to be 4 cards in. It says prayer. We don't do anything with this. It says when this is the hour, no effects. So we are now 4 turns in. And Sione has got to do something. So I think what we're going to do with her is we're going to move her maybe to the campsite, because we can heal cards there. That's pretty good. And to close, we have to choose 3 different types of boons. She's only got a bunch of spells right now, but we're not going to be anywhere near closing that location. So I think we're going to do that. Or she could stay there and explore, and Sajan, who's a fighter, could move. Let's do that. We know the henchman's gone. I don't recall. Is there another? There are no monsters left in the caravan, but she's got nothing but spells. I think that this would be. Let me see. We can do banish. Examine top 3 cards of your location, so she could move and cast her magic eye spell. Remember, she doesn't have to banish it because she's proficient. That might be helpful. No, I think we're going to stay there. She's going to. No. We're going to move. We're going to move. We're going to move her to the campsite. So she's going to move there. Now, there are 3 monsters in the campsite, but she's spell-laden right now, so I feel okay about that. Also, now we might be able to flush out one of the other henchmen more quickly and maybe close this site faster. So we're going to go there. She's going to draw the top card of the location deck. We haven't actually drawn anything from this, so I'm going to give it a quick shuffle. Okay, and we're going to draw the first card of the location deck. It is a monster. A bat swarm. So what is the bat swarm? Well, it takes a 9. It's vulnerable to attack. Okay. And if defeated by less than 4, shuffle this monster back. Ooh, so we got to beat this guy soundly to make sure. I'm going to look at vulnerable too. I just want to see what vulnerable does. It says positively affecting character's check to defeat. If a card is vulnerable to a trait on your check, add 4. Okay. So to add 4, it is vulnerable to attack. Alright, so let's take a look, because I think I know what she's going to do. She is going to use her force missile. Okay, it says, for your combat check, banish to use arcane 2d4. So this won't be an attack. Let's see. On another character's combat check, banish to add d4. Man, I don't know, that's pretty good. She could do that. She could also just use, she could use this. Her life drain. For your combat check, banish to use Arcane plus 2d4 or Divine plus 2d4. Then heal a card. Oh. I'm going to do this. She's going to use this one. During recovery, if proficient, discard this card. You may succeed at an Arcane 9 check or Divine check to recharge it. So we know we can recharge this card. So we're going to go after the rat swarm here. Sorry, I said bat swarm, but it's a rat swarm. And we know we have to beat it by 4. So right now we are doing a whopping 2d4. That is not enough to get a 2d4 plus 2, right? So wait, it's Arcane plus 2d4. So her Arcane is a d12 plus 2. So that's what she's got right now. That's pretty good. She could really wallop on that thing with that. Do I want to do anything else for her? I don't think so. I think that's going to be it. We got to make a 9, 10, 11. Got to do a 13 or better. I got a d12 plus 2 plus 2d4. We got a good chance of doing it. Let's do this. Okay, here we go. We got her 3 dice here. Remember, we were adding plus 2. Come on. Oh, a 12. Bam. All right, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 to get rid of the rat swarm. So we will banish the rat swarm. It is gone from the deck. That is fantastic. It joins the hammer that we didn't get. And then again, because she casts a spell, she can automatically recharge it and heal a card. So we're going to take her current, since there's only 2 cards, I can shuffle. I'm just going to roll 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 2. So we're going to. This one's going to get recharged and goes on the bottom of her deck. That is that. So we have recharged her spell, and that in her discard pile is still like such. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She is at the campsite. What does that do? At this location, at the end of your turn, you may heal a card. Okay, great. So we're going to heal a card, and we're going to put that back in there as well. I'm going to check if healing means shuffling her deck. I don't think it does, but let's just double check that. Want to make sure. So heal, shuffle cards from your discard pile into your deck. See healing on page 9. We're going to check that out. Again, I just don't want to mix up my rules from the previous versions of this game. So we are on healing. Okay, healing, here we go. When a power heals you, shuffle the specified number and, if specified, type of random cards from your discard pile into your deck. Okay, so we're going to shuffle up her deck again. And that was pretty good. I mean, she is all the way healed because of that. So we're going to shuffle this up. Do a quick shuffle. And she's going to have to draw 1 more card because she's only got 5 cards out on her display. So what's the card she's going to get? It's going to be an ally, a troubadour. Nice. Now, that's the end of her turn, by the way, so I can't play him to explore again because we drew a card up to finish her turn. And that's going to be it for now. I'm just going to mark her by putting this D4 on her card that she was the last one that went, and we know that we're going to go with Sejan again. Actually, I'll put it on the one we're going to go with. So Sejan's got a die on him to know that he's going to go next when we pick up the rest of this game. We're doing pretty good, I think. We've got the caravan down to 2 cards, so Sejan's going to run through those quick. He will draw the card. Whatever he's going to do, he's not going to spend the blessing because I want to empty out the location and close it. He can close it pretty easily. We're going to have to summon this rescue card and see if we can pull that off to close that location. Okay, anyway, guys, that's going to be it for that. I think you're getting a good idea how Pathfinder, the new core 2nd edition rules go. I did also get the expansion that goes along with it, and there's a lot of gameplay here. So, anyway, we'll talk to you in the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying this quick little, it's going to be probably 2 videos, and that's it. Playthrough of this. I may continue it. I may not. I got some other things going on. We'll see how this goes. But, guys, thanks, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Take care.